Hey everybody, so we are back in the garage today. We're going to be doing a little bit of work on Oxylus, kind of preparing for something coming down the line. We've been running our Rock Rash aftermarket taillights. I think for most of the time I've had the Jeep, to be honest. They've been fantastic, but I'm going to be switching out my tire carrier, and the tire carrier I'm going to with aftermarket lights because of how far out they come compared to the stock ones. They'll actually hit, and I don't want to smash those up. Those have been really good to me, and they don't deserve it. So we're going to be going to a flush mount style. We have the Motobilt conversion kit for the round lights. We're going to be doing that today, and kind of preparation for what's to come with the rear. The tire carrier, I've been running the JCR tire carrier for 4 or 5 years now. Basically, as soon as I got bigger tires, I put that on there to get the weight off the swing gate. Kind of preserve the life of that. But the tire carriers just sort of run its life course. It's a little worn out. It's a little jingly. If you've been behind me when we're going down trails, it's not uncommon for that to get the name of the change purse, just because it's had a very long life. It's seen a lot of miles, seen a lot of trails, but it's time to retire it before it becomes a problem or anything like that. So today is going to be the round lights, and then later on, once I get the parts and the tire carrier, get those painted, we'll be doing an install on that as well. So let's show you guys what we're working with today. So we're going to be doing the Motobilt flush mount round light conversion kit for the JK. So basically what you get from Motobilt is a couple of these plates, some hardware, and then you order a set of lights for round lights to fit for these. We've already painted these. These come in bare steel. We went and found out our paint code, our Mopar paint code, and our Mopar clear coat. So those are already painted, so they'll paint match the Jeep. It'll be a nice clean install there. Be happy about that. The other thing we went ahead and did, and we will go through the wiring on this, we took our round light that we're going to be putting in there, and I had my old stock tail lights, and I went ahead and actually spliced in all my wires and everything, just because they send them with the blunt cut wires, just an end cut there. But instead of splicing in any wires permanently, I just had the connector and said, you know what, to heck with it, we're going to use that wire connector. That way I got a nice service loop if I ever need to take them out. And yeah, it's one of those where this is going to be pretty permanent because we are going to be modifying the body a little bit here. But I can always change out for different lights if I want to in the future, just in case I see something that I like a little bit more. So we have on the back of the Motobilt card the instructions. We're going to be following that along today. I will show the wiring diagrams for how I got these spliced in to match the wires that came off the stock harness. And let's get going. Let's do a little bit of wrenching today. Alright, so welcome back to another install video. This one is going to be a little long, so we're going to definitely make some timestamps in here so you can jump around. First thing's just removing the factory or the aftermarket tail light. Phillips head screwdriver to do this, and just real gently take it out of place there. Next up, removing those clips that the screws go into. The install instructions recommend a pair of pliers. I ended up using something different just because I had trouble reaching in there. It's a pretty tight space to work in. We'll get into more detail on what I used here in a minute. So we got the metal clips out. We went a little bit different route from what they were recommending with the pliers, just because kind of getting into that small space is a little hard. Also, I am still recovering from a broken thumb, so don't quite have that grip strength out of there yet. But what we did is we took actually our clip puller that has our rubber bumper on there, and we were able to wedge it behind the clip itself. If it focuses, maybe. We were able to focus on that clip and basically pop that out, kind of coming back out the other way. So that worked. On to the next step. We're going to mark this up and actually we grind it down so it'll be nice and flat for our new pieces.
So back to it. Next we're going to grind these areas flat. These are the raised areas where we took those clips out of. Do have the passenger side view of me doing this as well. We're positioned the camera a little bit better to be able to see it. So we're happy with where those got grinded down to. Kind of wipe down the area a little bit and get in behind it with a paint pen. Mark up exactly where we're going to be cutting so I can mark and follow lines. You see I switched off between a battery handheld cutting disc and a smaller air cutoff wheel. The air cutoff wheel is just a lot easier to get around those tight corners and stuff like that. Give myself a little more room and ability to get in those tight fit areas with a little bit of that turn. So with everything all cut, kind of cleaning up that area a little bit, grounded everything smooth. Coming in behind it with a paint can. Tried to find the best color match paint. Tried to use some cardboard or some paper towels, try to prevent any sort of overspray into a spot that I didn't want, and try to wipe away any drips or any runs. Moving over to the passenger side, I removed the light before I moved the camera over, but we'll move that camera here in just a minute so you guys can get a better view. So had to mute this section here. Had some other music playing on the radio in the garage, but basically you can see here at some point I managed to check my rear corner there and dented a little bit, and it was causing that plate to sit a little uneven. So we were able to thankfully able to get it kind of straightened out, evened out, so that way once we actually started bolting everything in, tightening everything in, everything sort of fixed and sat flush the way we needed it to.
Alright, so we're taking a time out for a minute. We got both the openings done, cut out. We got paint drying. I'm going to put a couple layers of paint in there just because I want it to last as long as I can. I am in no way a good painter. I'm not an artist with a paint can, but we're going to be able to at least know that the paint and all the metal will be covered, protected, all that good stuff. So, couple of quick notes. So with the little clips that were inside, we'll kind of do a little snapshot maybe from one of the other pictures. That was kind of hard to get to with a pair of pliers, even long pliers. We took out another set. So what I actually ended up using was my little clip puller that's got the rubber bumper on the back. That made it a lot easier. You end up grinding that all down anyway, so I'm not too worried about that area. The cutting, kind of went over it with just a little air cutoff blade, just because that can kind of get me around those fine corners, and then use the big cutoff blade for the long straights. Again, everything's going to be covered up, so we got some allowance, but I don't want to do more cutting than I need to in the body. We want to leave as much intact as we can. The other thing on the passenger side, it's just one piece of flat steel, just the body metal there. The other side has a support bracket behind it. So I was able to kind of take that off in chunks. I think I broke up the video a little bit and show off some of those pieces. But yeah, we're kind of at a little bit of a pause for a minute here. For you guys, it'll only last a couple seconds. For me, it's enough to go inside and do some dishes. And we'll get back to it in a little bit. We'll let the paint dry. We'll put some clear coat on. And then we'll finish up and put on the plates and get everything wired up. We'll show some of those wiring diagrams now.
Alright, so first up we got Motobilt's wiring diagram. This is something they have on their website for the LED light they sell. Black is ground, red is our stop turn, brown is our tail light, and white is our reverse light. Pretty simple, good thing to have up while you're doing this. For the factory harness, there's a lot of different wiring diagrams, there's a lot of different colors that you'll see listed. I like going by the pinout. So like Quake LED has diagrams and stuff like this. So this is where I sort of go by, this is where I map out what needs to go where and identify the colors that way. So then by the time I had everything identified, this was my layout, this was where I had everything spliced to. I had this cheat sheet on the table with me as I was doing my splicing, just to make sure everything is all going together properly and I have a quick reference as I'm doing my work. Finally, if you got any quick flashing going on from the LED lights, Motobilt sells this resistor kits. Comes with some quick splices. You can also use T-splice or a hard splice. You're going to put one end on a turn signal light and the other end on a ground wire.
Alright everybody, so we're back. It is the next day. We did a couple layers of paint, a couple layers of clear coat. Again, just trying to give that metal underneath the best possible chance to survive and not rust away on us underneath where we can't see it and do anything about it. So, we've already sort of taped the next metal pieces in place. We'll kind of show you guys everything there. There are directions, recommend punching them, marking them. Definitely going to do all of that. And then 1/8 inch and a step bit to get everything down. And before we know it, we will have taillights back on the Jeep. We'll be able to test out everything and be able to hit the trails again. Let's do it.
So jumping back into it, we got our punch and we got our trusty framing hammer. Probably should reach for the rubber mount, but hey, works. Got everything marked. Remove the tape, remove that bracket. Just drilling out our pilot holes. Trying to move the camera for a better view. Not sure it really worked out in our favor there, but quick note coming up here.
Just point something out, left the drill in place just so it's a little bit easier to see. On the driver's side, mine's got this sort of double wall, a little bit more reinforcement there. So just make sure you get through both sides before you start your next step drill. With that, I'll probably do a step drill on the top, but I'll probably have to use something a little bit deeper. I may just use a regular drill bit to get all the way through. just because I don't want that top hole to be too wide. So something to make a note of. The bottom hole and the middle hole closer to the tire, I had to make sure I got through both those walls.
Alright, so now we're widening out those holes. Just taking 2 screws at a time, just finger starting the nuts on the back there, just so we can make sure we have everything aligned, do each one. This final hole, we did find that we were just a little bit off, so just had to get the drill in there and widen it out a little bit for us. But found another small inconvenience here we'll talk about.
Alright, so we got all the holes aligned. We had to widen one just a little bit just to kind of get it down. So 5 out of 6, not terrible, I'll take it. And it was the one that was sort of crashing with the ORV sticker. But kind of an important note here. So that double wall that we got going on back there, that is causing us a little bit of an issue because the bolts that came in the kit aren't actually long enough for us to grab. So I may try to see if I can bring it a little bit closer, smash it down a little bit with a vice grip and get things to grab. Otherwise, what we'll probably do is we'll run to the hardware store and just grab another longer bolt just to make it a little bit easier on ourselves. So quick pause there while I sort of work the problem, and we'll get this tightened up and installed. Alright, so we took a quick trip to the hardware store. We did need a longer bolt for the bottom piece here on the driver's side. Again, just with that second brace, that second layer of metal that's in there, the bolt they provided unfortunately wasn't going to be long enough. So they gave a 3/4 inch long bolt. We just went and got an inch long bolt. We don't need much, just enough to get us through, get us started. So we're going to start tightening everything down, but before we do, we have everything started, we have everything aligned. I'm going to hit everything with a little dab of Loctite just to make sure nothing comes loose. They did send nylock nuts, but I like a little extra security, so should never have to come apart. Hopefully. Here we go. So, super fun fact, if for some reason you drop the nut inside, there's a little bit of insulation foam, probably some of the noise dampening foam down in there. I was lucky and the nut dropped onto that, so just have to reach your hand down. I reached it in my one good hand, still recovering from the thumb, but was able to get that. So, yeah, maybe a magnet would be good too. Anyway, we keep going.
And just in case the question comes up, yes, I did drop it on the floor immediately after stopping to talk to the camera. So with Loctite on all the bolts, grabbed a set of vice grips to grab the nut that's inside the body, and then started with the little T-handle, but you know what, decided, hey, we have that electric ratchet, we bought it, let's use it. You can see me riding the struggle bus too, trying to navigate, not smacking my thumb against anything that might hurt me a little. Once we got everything tightened down, we throw that rubber grommet on the vehicle, get it all in position for us for our next step, and pull the wire through.
Alright. All kinds of dirty and dusty. So what we're going to do is we're going to take a little bit of soapy water, put it around the outside ring here, so it just slides right into place.
Ended up grabbing that little pry bar just to raise the top lip of that rubber grommet. Made it a lot easier to feed that in. Last but not least, double checking to make sure our wires were right and all the lights come on.
Alright, so we are all finished up. Lights are working. Did everything but test out the reverse light, but confident with how everything's coming out since it's the only wire left. Unfortunately, it can't start up. We actually kind of we got some cats and a kitten in our backyard, so we're kind of trapping them, trying to keep it kind of quiet in here, not starting this up just because it would scare the heck out of them while we're trying to catch them and take care of them, see if we can foster some, see if we can release some safely back into the wild. But this kit's all done. It was super super clean looking. I'm really happy with the way these look. Excited to start getting them out and see what my Jeep friends think. And yeah, install overall, not too bad. A couple little tricks in there. I think I mentioned a few. Putting the lights in. Just got some soapy water made up, you know, from a bottle that, you know, a bottle of Canada Dry that I had. Made up some soapy water in it. Took a little bit and just scrubbed it around. A little bit just to help it through. And then a small pry bar just to sort of lift up the rubber lip to let that light pop through. But all done. These look awesome. Super excited about it. The modification for the next modification is done and ready to go. So we'll end it there. Thank you guys so much for sticking around. I like Jeeps. You like Jeeps? Bye-bye.